Thanks again for your interest in the topic of project management offices. As you know, project management office is really about establishing some standards and increasing the quality of how projects are planned and implemented. And given that project is such a fundamental component of strategy execution, this is really a way of elevating the whole organization around its performance. So some of the basic roles and responsibilities include, having a governance structure in place. You're really asking that structural question: how does, if a new project, is considered by the organization, how do we ensure that it's reviewed, it's aligned with strategy, the right mechanisms in place to execute that? So you want to be able to standardize a project management methodology, have a common corporate culture. This includes maybe some kind of a self-assessment to identify what is the current capability of the organization relative to project implementation. Resource management, obviously, and then just making sure that there's a common set of tools, reports, software, those kinds of things that enable you to successfully manage the projects that are aligned with the tribal strategy. About 20 years ago, we started working with tribal leaders to design a system that acts as a strategic action plan, project management office, grant management system, and so forth. And it's called Action Strategy. And this is the way we really try and operationalize the PMO, again, aligned with the strategic plan. So we start by organizing the plan into the core functions. On your website, you listed a number of the critical missions for the different functions, and so you can use those as a screen to make sure that the projects and grants underneath are aligned appropriately without those purposes. And it's very easy to create a new project. You just click on this button. We're adding a new project under administration. We identify who owns it, who would be maybe a resource to assist with that, and then timelines. And there are a couple of ways of tracking progress with these. You want a very transparent mechanism to show not only what the project is, but what kind of progress is being made on that. So you can either go a percent complete, or we'll use your traditional red, yellow, green to indicate, where are we at a given time. Now, to create a work breakdown structure with the project, very simple. I'm just going to just click a couple of tasks. Again, assigning, people, resources, timelines, and so forth for this part of the work breakdown structure. But I can also break it down into subtasks. So you have a portfolio of all of your projects that are strategic, that can be easily managed by different departments, and then all those changes and updates roll up into typically the tribal administrator or the project management office's plan. Grant management obviously is another key element of this whole process. So if this was, rather than a project, is a grant, I would just click on this. Actually, that's a Gantt chart. I would click on this and distinguish it as a grant. And so if this was a grant, let's say there's the grant components, here's the objectives, and then my subtask would be activities. And then as I'm managing this grant, I can also go into a details view that gives all the details associated with this, but also can include attachments and comments that would act as a narrative that I can export and then prepare for my reports. Also, if it's an objective that's measurable, I need some indication of progress over time, I can build these measures in my scoreboard. For example, I said, and this is more of a strategy, but HR, one of their goals is reduce average time to hire from the current of 46 days down to 30 days. I can track that over time and really test whether my plans are making a difference in improving this process, or if I'm trying to increase number of tribal employees or members of the community, I can track that over time and see visually whether we're making progress. So some of the other elements of the tool, again, we use it to develop organizational department strategies, place for mission, vision, values, place for tools like a SWOT analysis or other kind of analysis type tools, places for professional development, identifying roles and responsibilities. So ideally, a person could come from the outside in as a new hire, and then they could see all of these things that are relevant to their their key project and their grants. Also, as I establish this as a grant, there's a compliance component to it. So if I click on the grant button, I can see all the grant details that are relevant to to managing the grant. I can look at the attributes. Am I hiring new staff associated with the grant? And then I can add reporting reminders that I will receive notifications by email to ensure that I'm submitting my reports in a timely fashion. I can also get very clear about what's eligible, what are ineligible costs, so that I'm in compliance, and then attach supportive documentation. The intent, again, being that everything relative to the grants are in one place and available to all the people that need to have that information. So again, we try to use this system, and it's evolved over time to integrate, the elements of a PMO, the elements of a strategic implementation plan, grant management, and also quality management, where that's relevant. And so if this is the type of system that you're looking for, actually, we created a demo for ShowPie, and at the appropriate time, really happy to visit with you about what this might look like, just to make your life easier, to improve the quality of planning within the organization, and ultimately the quality of strategy execution and project management, because that's what creates results and improves the lives of members of our community. Thank you again.